Welcome back, friends! Today we're breaking down episode 8 of the highly anticipated anime Melfi the Monster Eater. But before we dive in, let us know in the comments which country you're watching from. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you never miss an update. Our episode picks up right where we left off, mid-air. Roger tells Melfi to hold on tight and stay steady because about 400 monsters are closing in. Things are getting intense. They hit top speed, going so fast they almost fall off. But Roger pulls off a smooth, evasive maneuver. Melfi is absolutely terrified, telling herself she needs to think about literally anything else to keep the fear at bay. Her solution? Food. She decides she should catch these monsters and eat them. They are birds, after all. She imagines stuffing them with herbs and roasting them whole, or maybe stewing them in a pot. Perhaps chopping, pounding, and frying them? She's convinced they'd taste delicious if cooked the right way. The situation is getting desperate. The monsters are relentless, stubborn, and looking to attack. Roger decides it's time to fight back. He orders his soldiers to flank them. You can see the power surging in Roger's eyes as they shoot through the air like rockets. They're avoiding a full-on clash strictly to keep Melfi safe. If she weren't there, they would have chosen an all-out blitz instead of evasive maneuvers. Melfi starts feeling like a burden, thinking, I'm useless, I need to help. She racks her brain until she remembers a booby-trapped bag she has. If forced open, it explodes. She figures if they throw it at the birds, it could create a massive distraction and scatter their ranks. She suggests it to Roger, but he refuses, saying, no way, I'm not throwing away your property. She insists it's a trap, but he tells her to forget it. He won't sacrifice her belongings. He tells her to hold on, because knights are waiting at the defensive line, and warns her not to speak. The wind pressure is too high and could make her sick. But Melfi is stubborn. Digging into her bag, she finds the Misty Myrrh potion. This solution can drain magic completely, and since it's full, it should be effective. She recalls that the magic energy stored in this flask could technically create a weapon capable of destroying nations. However, just throwing it won't release enough energy to take out such a huge swarm. She needs a way to amplify it. Then, she remembers the fire spell Duke Roger taught her. She starts visualizing the incantation, deciding to inscribe every ancient spell she can think of onto the bottle, turning it into a magic circle. She needs to add the Duke's name to anchor it. Realizing she only knows him as Aristide, she asks Roger for his full name. He answers, but is confused about the timing. She ignores his confusion and asks if he uses the name Aristides Roger when casting. Surprised, he admits he does, but still doesn't understand her questions. Melfi knows that spells are more stable and precise when the caster's name is included. To wipe out the entire flock at once, she actually needs some of Roger's blood. Since she can't easily get that right now, having him lick the bottle will have to suffice as a link. She asks him to do it. He asks if this contains Xanas's magic energy. She explains she inscribed every ancient spell she could think of, then instructs him to throw the bottle on her command. Roger looks at the bottle and sees a chaotic mix of fire spells: flame, shimmer, glow, breath, explosion, and eruption. He laughs, noting she can't possibly activate all those at once. He tells her to wait, then deliberately cuts his hand to smear actual blood on the bottle, supercharging the spell. The magic begins to prime. Melfi asks to heal his wound immediately, and he agrees, assuring her he'll end this fight quickly. Roger then coordinates the squad. He orders everyone to ascend at once. Ambry takes point, Zeth on the left, Eric on the right. He commands them to cast multiple acceleration buffs and climb on his signal. He then directs Moulin to hold his position. Roger flies over to Moulin and instructs him to buff his speed, punch through the enemy lines to create a distraction, and then immediately climb to safety. While the birds are distracted, Roger will unleash the spell to incinerate them. The plan goes into action. The team ascends, and Moulin dives into the swarm to scatter them. Roger prepares to throw the vial. He wants these monsters to pay for exhausting his dragons, and more importantly, for frightening his beloved fiancée. He tosses the bottle into the flock. He assures Melfi that the spells she inscribed are about to trigger perfectly. Melfi is nervous, but Roger encourages her, saying she'll do great in Galbraith. This just makes her more nervous. Roger enthusiastically adds that creating a magic circle in these conditions is usually impossible, so this will be their little secret. Suddenly, the spell activates. A massive, fiery explosion engulfs the flock. blowing the birds to smithereens. And just as Mulan is communicating with the team, another massive explosion rocks the sky. Melfi is stunned by the sheer heat radiating from the blast, thinking to herself, with that kind of intensity, those birds must be totally burnt to a crisp by now. They continue their journey through the sky on their dragons. Melfi still looks a bit shaken, so Roger checks in on her. She assures him she's okay, admitting, "I just can't believe I actually pulled that off." Roger immediately gives her the credit, telling her, "You're the one who saved us with your quick thinking." Hearing this, Melfi is floored. Internally, she thinks, "I didn't expect that. I was so focused on catching delicious monsters to eat that I never considered the pure magic energy I extract, which is usually just a byproduct, could actually be used as a weapon capable of destroying nations. I can't believe it took me this long to realize it." She then turns to Roger, concerned, and asks if he considers her research to be forbidden or taboo. Roger reassures her immediately, "No one is allowed to scold you here. You can dedicate yourself entirely to your craft." He explains that beyond making weapons, the magic energy stored in her vials has great benefits. It can be used to fuel furnaces, just like you usually do. It will be incredibly useful for our daily lives in Galbraith. Usually, lighting a stove requires flint or a spellcaster, but your vials could replace that. Plus, we need better lighting for the long winter nights. I'm sure the people would be thrilled to have magic energy distributed in small, safe quantities. Melfi reflects on this, realizing he's right. It doesn't have to be a weapon. It can be used to improve people's lives. She thinks, back in martial raid, no one cared about my research. The magic energy I collected was treated as trash to be disposed of. To them, monsters were just pests, but to me, they are a mine of food and resources. Roger not only accepts my interests and research, but he's showing me a whole new horizon. Moved by his support, she thanks him profusely. Roger laughs and replies, "Thanks to you, we survive without a scratch. I'm the one who should be thanking you." Melfi beams at his words, saying, "A spell's power depends on the caster. You were the only one capable of activating that chaotic magic circle. I'll make sure to write it smaller next time." Roger smoothly replies, "If that result was due to our beautiful teamwork, then you did an excellent job. Let's go monster hunting together sometime." Melfi is overjoyed. She's been wishing to go hunting with him for a long time. Roger tempts her further. The Gundar beehives are huge this time of year, and the Zakirt fruits are almost in season. Melfi's foodie brain lights up. She excitedly notes, "Both of those are specialties of the Erzini forest. The Gunter bee is a non-stinging insect monster about the size of a finger. I've read that their hives are rich with the scent of all the flowers and fruit nectar they gathered throughout autumn." Suddenly, Kaio swoops in to check on Roger after the explosion. But when Melfi lays eyes on Kaio's mount, a giant eagle, she is absolutely stunned. Kais rushes over to check if they're okay, and Roger coolly tells him Melfi and I took care of them. Kais is confused. He can't believe they caused that massive explosion. He's shocked, asking how they could use such a reckless, demonic and violent spell while Melfi was riding with them. Melfi awkwardly thinks to herself, "Well, I'm actually the one who created that reckless, demonic and violent spell." Chaos assumes the G-force from the acceleration spell must have exhausted her, yet she looks completely fine. Melfi speaks up, saying she didn't mind the speed at all. Suddenly, the other soldiers start gushing over her. They praise Roger, saying, "You chose well, Your Highness. What a beautiful bride. Look at how fluffy her hair is." Melfi blushes, totally embarrassed. Back home, she was used to people calling her a weirdo, not complimenting her. Roger, seeing his men fawning over her, gets a bit jealous and snaps, "Hey, stop staring at her. There won't be anything left for me to look at." Finally, they arrive at Roger's territory. He points out the central building, telling her that's where they'll live. He admits it's unnecessarily huge, but she can pick whatever room she likes. Melfi looks down and sees a massive castle. Roger drops some lore. His great-grandfather built it generations ago specifically to fight monsters. Over the years, the town expanded around it, becoming the Fortress City. Melfi asks, "If it's a fortress, does that mean monsters from the Erzini forest come all the way here?" Roger explains that sometimes they do. Monsters living in the grasslands often attack trade carriages. It's not as dangerous as it used to be, though. He explains that the forest used to be much closer before he pushed the defensive line back. People naturally gathered here for protection under the previous dukes. The city was shaped by the constant fear of monster attacks. He also mentions that 17 years ago, survivors from a great disaster flocked here for safety. As they fly over, Melfi notices scars on the city, burnt ground and scorched marks on the walls. She realizes the Duke must have used his own magic to secure this area and protect the people. Roger reassures her that things aren't that bad anymore. Roger orders the western military gate to open for landing. Kaya says he'll wait for them at the main building and takes Melfi's luggage ahead. Roger explains they have to enter from below because there is currently a magical barrier covering the sky. It consumes a ton of magic energy, so they can't keep it up forever. But they likely activated it after hearing about the earlier monster attack. He wonders if another attack is coming, but decides it's better to be safe than sorry. "We've arrived, Melfi," Roger says. They touch down, and Melfi is overjoyed to see the townspeople welcoming and cheering for them. She looks around and thinks, "This town, protected by the Duke, is beautiful. I'm going to live a very happy life here with the prince." And that brings us to the end of today's episode. Stay tuned for the next breakdown of this amazing anime. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that bell icon so you get notified for every new video. Hello friends! Today we're going to summarize the new episode of the anime Milfi and Roger the Lover, or Milfi and Roger the Beloved. But before we start, tell us which country you're watching this anime from right now. Let's begin! The episode starts today with Milfi and her lover/fiancé Roger arriving in the city while riding. Children wave and greet them with a warm welcome. From the apparent images, the city is very beautiful and its people are kind. However, there are many monsters in this area, and it's essential to prevent monsters from devouring humans, or it would be a true disaster in every sense of the word. Roger talks to Milfi, telling her, "As for eating monsters, most of the kingdom's knights have eaten this meat. Although many of them clearly remember their bitter experiences, some will undoubtedly be hesitant at first, and you will find many monsters and types you haven't met yet. Wait, and you will see everything with your own eyes." Milfi replies, "I can't wait. I want to meet them. Finish them off and eat some of them. I'm completely obsessed with monster meat." After that, they dismount. Milfi inspects her luggage, but notices something strange. Someone is watching her. She turns left and right, saying, What? Is that a dragon staring at me? What does it want?" In the end, we find that the dragon is looking at the meat Roger possesses. Indeed, the dragon is very excited and wants to try it, or else it could do things they wouldn't like, with severe consequences. Next, they enter Roger's castle, and he informs her that it is his. As they pass the lake, Milfi notices the fish, maybe because she's hungry, and wonders if they taste good. Then something strange happens. She sees her messy red hair in the water and says, What? Have I been walking around like that the whole time? The prince might be angry with me for looking like this." She then calls out to him saying, "I want to discuss something with you." He replies, "Go ahead, speak. I'm listening closely." But at the last moment, she doesn't speak, looking into the water instead. He comments, "These fish are very beautiful. Do you want to try one?" But in the end, she returns to her original statement and tells him, "I want to discuss something with you." Milfi tells him that she wanted to make herself presentable before meeting everyone and didn't want to be rude, so she asks him to borrow a place to change her clothes. Roger asks her to forgive him, saying it wasn't her fault, and he can't believe how careless he is after all the scolding he received from Kaios. He then calls out to Mullen, informing him that they have a very urgent matter, ordering him to immediately summon the Blanche Company. Mullen doesn't understand, so Rogers angrily demands he call Lillian, Sabrina, or Natalie. He then turns back to Milfi and apologizes again for not being as considerate as he should have been. He tells her that in fact they haven't had a maid here and it's just been the men for a long time. Milfi realizes the former Duchess isn't here either. She can't believe she overlooked such a vital thing. She should have asked about that instead of the monsters. Roger continues, explaining that it has been a long time since a Duchess came to Galbarth. Perhaps not in the last 4 generations. Afterward, the girls from the Blanche Company arrive, whom Roger had summoned. Roger instructs them to follow Milfi's orders exactly as they would his. The girls agree and begin introducing themselves. The first is Blanche Lucille, the leader. Milfi is impressed by her beauty and wonders how she can be a knight. Milfi then asks Lucille to teach her the customs and traditions of this place and everything concerning it. Next, the deputy leader introduces herself as Natalie Charles, and the third, Lillian, the daughter of Baronet Santil, tells Milfi to ask her for anything she needs. Milfi gives them a warm welcome. Roger interrupts them, explaining that she has just finished her first journey, so he wants them to help her recover first and foremost. Milfi asks when she will be introduced to everyone. Roger replies that dinner will likely be a suitable time, then informs her that his room is next to hers and she can come meet him anytime if something is bothering her. After that, Milfi enters her room. Malon speaks with Roger, saying he is happy that Kaios was not here. Roger is surprised and asks if Kaios is another one of Malon's contacts, but Malon doesn't answer. We then transition to Milfi entering her room. She is very shy of Roger because he greatly enjoys her reactions. When she looks at the room, she is amazed by its beauty. It is truly gorgeous. Milfi refuses to enter the room with her shoes because they are dirty and will stain the beautiful carpet. Leader Blanche lifts her and places her on a chair. Milfi thanks her. Afterward, the girls approach her and ask if she needs anything, but Milfi thanks them, saying, "I don't want to take up your precious time. I can handle things from here." Leader Blanche refuses, saying, "The Blanche Company has been granted the privilege of serving as your personal guards. We are your sword and shield." She offers Milfi her sword, saying, "Grant us this honor as knights." Milfi is astonished. She takes the sword, opens it, and likes it very much. She tells them, "You are knights chosen by the Duke. That in itself makes you worthy of my trust. But I still know nothing about you, and you don't know the real me. Your sword is your life. You shouldn't give it to a stranger. I will return this to you. I made a promise with the Duke on the way here. I have learned what I must do in Galbath, and I want Leader Blanche to accept me as your lady and consider me worthy of holding your sword." Blanche replies, "We will do our utmost to prove ourselves worthy knights for you." Milfi then asks if the sword was made by the same blacksmith who made the Duke's sword. She says, "I want a sword of my own too." Blanche tells her, "Yes, it was made in a smithy located here in Midley." Milfi then asks the leader to tell her the blacksmith's name or location. Next, the leader asks to comb Milfi's hair, but something strange happens to it. The leader apologizes, saying she is not fit for the task and the mistake is entirely hers. Milfi then asks her to make her hair fluffy/puffy anyway, because His Highness loves her hair when it is fluffy. Although Blanche is a knight, she begins preparing the things needed to fluff the hair. Milfi apologizes to her, but Blanche reassures her not to worry, saying she is used to it because she does her daughters' and sons' hair daily when they were little. Milfi is shocked that she is married and has children, despite her very young appearance. Blanche says she has 2 children, a son and a daughter, and adds that her daughter resembles her closely and wants to be a knight like her, which her father finds displeasing. Blanche proudly states, "I am very proud to be a knight of Galbath." Milfi is delighted, realizing that the knights are wonderful. Blanche, however, is surprised that Milfi wants a sword. Milfi explains, "Yes, I want a sword like the prince's. I need it for slaying monsters so I can eat them." Blanche is astonished by this. Milfi continues, explaining that her relationship with the Duke began because he was interested in her experience. She then calls out to Miss Natalie, saying she packed her working tools in her bags and emptied them. She asks Natalie to please look for them. Natalie does indeed look for them and finds the blade, which is clearly well used over a long period. It looks like it has been used to cut bones and meat. Lillian is astonished that Her Highness actually eats monsters. Natalie stops her, putting her hand over Lillian's mouth, saying that is a rude and foolish way to ask. Milfi tells them, "It's okay, I understand your curiosity about me eating monsters." She then tells them her story about eating monsters. They realize she is a kind person. Lillian learns that monsters are very delicious and asks Milfi for permission to taste some. The other knights are then annoyed and ask Lulien to leave because she is speaking in a vulgar manner. She apologizes and starts to leave, but Milfi stops her and asks her age. Lulien says she turned 15 this year. Milfi says she is not an adult yet and is at a difficult age. She then asks Lulien, "Do you want to try some monster meat with me to see how delicious it is?" Everyone is shocked. Milfi then asks everyone to join her. Everyone gets excited, though some fear getting heartburn or a stomachache. But Miss Lillian is very enthusiastic, and Milfi is also very excited. Everyone is happy. With this happy ending, our episode concludes today. Wait for us in future episodes of this anime, and please subscribe to the channel and activate the bell button to receive all that is new.